Welcome back. This week we're going to be talking about episode 3 of Siberia. But first, like last week, you get a little bit of housekeeping to take care of first and foremost. Now, since I started doing these reviews, I've been on Twitter and I've actually found the show creator and almost all of the cast members of the show that you can connect with and tweet with back and forth. And I will list all of their names right here. So, hit them up on Twitter if you want to have any of your specific questions answered. Some of them will have pictures, some of them will have interviews that you can look up, and I highly recommend keeping an eye on them, especially when the show is on Monday night, because a lot of these cast members are actively tweeting while the show is happening. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Quick episode recap. Love and Pixelation was in the air.
Kiss her!
Someone turned out to be a huge Talking Heads fan. Nico found a speaker in a tree.
Okay, that's probably where the noises were coming from.
What?
Irene and Johnny went on a hunting trip.
Gets in position, does her thing.
Annie and Natalie saw a tiger.
Get inside! Everybody get inside right now!
Daniel launched a rescue mission.
Then started to regret it.
And Carolina turned Nico against Johnny.
Great plan, dude.
Oh,
Great plan.
Well, it was bound to happen. You can only put a group of people in one place for so long before relationships begin forming. Last episode, we saw Miljan make a move on Esther that didn't quite go as he planned. And now we have Johnny and Carolina and Daniel and Irene as potential pairings. While I don't think Siberia would do itself any favors by turning into a dating show, I really liked how they used Johnny's budding interest in Carolina as a framing device in this episode. We get to see a softer side of Johnny, where before he was always standoffish and prone to confrontation.
Saw some flowers and I, figured, every girl likes flowers, so I started picking some flowers and thought I'd make a little nice bouquet or something.
What's unfortunate is that by the end of the episode, Johnny is put in a position where his sentimentality proves to be his undoing. I'm worried that if Johnny is able to return to the camp, that he is going to be completely closed off from the other contestants, even more than he already was. I did like the inclusion of this story element because Johnny really needed to show some vulnerability. The combination of Daniel and Irene doesn't come as a big surprise. Of the female contestants, Irene is by far the most approachable to someone like Daniel. And with neither of them joining in at the swimming hole, they've identified themselves as outsiders of a sort. What's clear at this point is that Daniel has noticed Irene, but Irene has yet to fully notice Daniel. He had a chance to really get her attention during his little rescue mission, but faltered when he had the chance to tell her that he came to warn her more so than Johnny.
That's really brave.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I just didn't want you guys to get hurt.
I hate to say it, but I think this little budding romance is going to end in tragedy. Daniel and Irene are far too nice for them to walk away intact from this experience. The way I see it, either Daniel or Irene will die in the coming episodes and leave the other angry and grieving. That's my prediction for them. As for Miljan and Esther, I don't see it happening. If you're curious, though, you can always tweet at either of them. I did include their handles at the beginning of this video. This is why you can't have nice things, Siberia. One truth or dare game too many, and suddenly all your food's on fire. So this week, the contestants learned the hard way about putting all their proverbial eggs in one basket. Did it suck? Yeah, it sucked. Not in a visual way, though. Visually, the scene was gorgeous. Having all the contestants standing around this raging fire as it consumes all of their hope and optimism was heartbreaking. And the shots of them in the glow of the firelight was the perfect way to convey a sense of helplessness in the face of nature. But going back to what I said before, it sucked as a viewer to see it happen to the contestants. It sucked to see Nico's first big group decision go up in smoke. It sucked to have everyone angry and on edge afterwards. However, from a storytelling standpoint, I thought the shack burning was excellent. It was the perfect way to set Nico and Sam against Johnny.
Tell me it was a good idea to ration the food
I told
now.
you before, if you got something to say it.
I just said it.
And it was an amazing strategic play on Carolina's part, but I'll talk about that more when I get to it. While out collecting firewood, Nico discovered a loudspeaker in a tree. I understand why they included this scene. They did it to justify Nico's opinion that the whole experience is being controlled by the show producers and they're all perfectly safe. But why did they need to emphasize that? Anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together would look at being on a reality game show and think that it's a safe environment with only hints of danger.
Why would a speaker be in a tree in the middle of nowhere?
It's logical thinking, especially in today's world where you can't put a show on television where someone legitimately dies. The way I see it, Nico didn't need the loudspeaker as a piece of evidence when he argued that the contestants weren't in any danger. They just threw it in there for some sort of added mystery. I'm really glad that Irene got some development beyond awkward dancer who didn't skinny dip. Much like Annie and Natalie in episode 2, Irene got her chance to step forward and demonstrate to the group her valuable skill. In this case, archery. Much like the rest of the contestants, I was a little surprised when Irene showed that she could shoot straight. But then I remember that she is shown in the intro with the bow and arrow, so it shouldn't have been that much of a surprise at all.
I'm very reluctant about killing an animal because I really like animals. I love anything that's alive, and I've never taken a life.
I think they could have done more with her reluctance to kill an animal. She expressed her hesitance, but after only a few pep talks from Johnny and Nico, she was up like John Rambo killing a deer. In glossing over her reluctance, I think they missed an opportunity to develop the Daniel-Irene romance. The writers could have included a scene where Daniel is the one to encourage her to do what is best for the group and have them build an understanding between them. But instead we get Nico telling her to do it. However, I was impressed by Irene standing up to Johnny by refusing his offer to split the meat between the 2 of them and keep it from the others. She showed some real integrity to do that. So last week I mentioned that it was good to see Annie and Natalie come forward to contribute to the group. After this week, I'm not so sure about that anymore. The dynamic duo spent most of the episode picking on Sam and complaining about food.
Nice, yeah. I thought you could do
Ring
anything,
it
Sam.
in.
I thought you could do anything.
As I said, it's rigged for a writer. I'm a lefty.
Sure.
However, about halfway through the episode, they come screaming back into camp, saying there's a tiger in the woods and everyone needs to get inside right now. This part of the episode felt a little long to me, mostly because of Natalie. I can understand being scared after seeing a tiger, but the way she handled it just made her look condescending.
Tiger is a big cat, at least technically.
Are you serious? An 800-pound cat with razor-sharp teeth. Yeah, that's not dangerous at all.
I found myself sympathizing more with the other contestants that were rounded up rather than siding with Natalie solely because she kept yelling the way she did. Aside from the shouting, it bothered me that no one mentioned Tommy's death. It's unclear how much time has passed since the contestants arrived at the camp, but I'm sure it hasn't been so long that they forgot that one of them had suffered a fatal accident. Of course, we do finally get some payoff when Sabina discovers the tiger carcass in the woods, which helps the scene after the fact. For the most part, this episode ignored the creature setup from episode 2, but having the 800-pound tiger slashed to ribbons was a good way to remind the viewers that whatever killed Tommy is still out there.
Maybe it already ate. There's no guarantee it's gonna be hostile. A suicide attempt? That's a bit extreme.
The thing that redeemed the tiger story element was Daniel's impromptu rescue mission. It showed very clearly that he has a concern for Irene and is willing to risk himself to know that she's okay. Typically you'd expect Nico, or as the de facto leader, to be the heroic one and rush off to save the others. But in this instance, it was Daniel. As sweet as this may be, I can't help but feel that it's going to get him killed. Daniel has already shown that he has a nasty habit of going into a dangerous situation without thinking it through first. Despite Daniel's actions being foolhardy, his intentions were good and it makes him endearing.
Nobody else is gonna
Where's
go.
your life? You're gonna go?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
You're going.
I'm going.
Daniel.
And the reactions of the contestants help show that Daniel is really alone when it comes to risking his own safety for another. So the final minutes of this episode did a great job of tying everything together. Carolina leads Nico to the spot where she found Johnny at the beginning of the episode, and there he finds Johnny's shirt with food from the burned down shed tucked inside. And this is where things got good. It looks like Johnny has been caught red-handed, so he runs off into the woods, but as we know from seeing the footage, it was Carolina that took the food and burned the shack down. I think it was a brilliant move on her part to essentially take Johnny out of the running. It was especially clever for her to pick up on his body language when she found him picking flowers and use that to ensure that he didn't present a different story when confronted by everyone at camp.
Just tell me, what were you doing over there?
I wasn't doing anything with that. I was
Doing what?
Keep going, keep talking, Johnny.
Go home. Nobody needs you here. Hey, the button's this way.
exactly.
The button's this way.
Badass.
The thing she didn't expect, though, is for him to walk off the way he did. Johnny didn't go towards the red button, quite the opposite, so the big question for him is where's he going? Well, I guess we'll find out. All things considered, this episode was good. Not great, but good. This episode's strength was found in how the characters interacted. Johnny and Carolina, Daniel and Irene, even Natalie and Annie. All three of those couples provided good chunks of story that helped keep the episode moving. I was a little disappointed that no one left the show in this episode, but I'm sure we won't have to go too much longer before the herd gets thinned again. With only 3 episodes out so far, I don't think I can rate this episode compared to the others just yet, but suffice it to say, it was another good time. As always, please comment below to keep the conversation going and subscribe to my channel for more of these weekly reviews of Siberia, and follow me on Twitter to see what I have to say during each episode. So until next week, I'm Rick D, and thanks for watching.